story, I'm going to tell you about when some big tough biker guy thought he was going to rip me off for $400 just because he had 50 pounds of muscle and drove a Harley and he thought he was big and tough and smart. Well, it didn't turn out the way he wanted to. So here goes. Chapter 7. At the time of the end of my foreclosure, I had a couple guys helping me out. They were actually living in my garage and they were helping me move all my stuff because I had lots of bikes, lots of scrap aluminum and scrap metal. Basically, it took me like 15 loads of metal to get my place cleaned up before I had to move. And right in the middle of all this chaos, this one dealer that I know, his name is Jesse, he came up to me and said that he needed a favor. He wanted me to get him 3 8-balls of meth for his dealer. Apparently, his dealer couldn't get hooked up and needed 3 8-balls just to get by for a day or two until his regular supply came in. I said, yeah, I can do that, but here's the tricky part. Jesse's getting the money from his dealer, who is basically fronting him the money, and then Jesse is giving that money to me, basically fronting it to me to go get the meth for him. That means the money is getting fronted not once, but twice. That's dangerous. Lots of potential for screw-ups, double crosses, and straight-up rip-offs. Instead of having them wait for me at the bike shop while I go all the way across town, because that can take a while, especially if the guy I'm meeting with makes me wait an hour or something stupid like that, they're thinking I might be up to something. They thought maybe I'd be cutting it or flipping it or whatever. That stuff happens all the time. To eliminate any doubt, and I had done this many times, I just had Jesse and his buddy ride along with me. I put my bike on the bike rack on the back of my car, and we all drove across town. Then we parked a couple blocks away from the guy's house. I got out, and I gave them my keys in case something went wrong or something, and then jumped on my bike, and I cruised over by myself to this big tough biker guy's house. When I got there, the dude was in his garage, and he knew I was coming with cash, but I think he expected a car. See, he was kind of stupid. He had 2 huge dogs, which always warned him if a vehicle pulled up, but the dogs weren't trained for if a bike just rolls up quietly. So the dogs didn't bark, and I kind of spooked him. He was in his garage, and I basically scared the shit out of him. Big guy, tough looking, he rode a Harley, but I caught him off guard. I said, hey, you got the shit? And he nodded, yeah, you want to try it? I said, sure. So we went inside his house, and he pulls out a bag of meth, and he takes his pipe, and he scoops a big scoop out of it, and we smoke it, and it was really high quality. All right, so then he hands me the bag, I give him the money, and then, but here's the thing. He must have distracted me slightly, or his hand dropped below the table or something, because he pulled the old bait and switch on me, and I know what that is, and I'm usually watching really, really close, but he must have distracted me somehow. I rode back to the car, and we drove back to my shop, and I was only gone like 15 minutes. But the minute we tried it back at my shop, the pipe turned blood red, and it tasted like garbage. We couldn't even smoke it. It was all sugar. Just like that, he ripped us off for $400. But Jesse and his guy knew I wasn't the one who scammed them. I was quick, and they saw me come and go. So they knew it wasn't me. They knew it was him. Now, if I wouldn't have brought him with, then I would have looked suspect. But they knew it wasn't me. They figured out who that biker dude was getting his meth from. It was from some woman dealer that one of them knew. Like a dumbass, he calls her up and starts accusing Jesse of ripping him off and that she should do something about it. And in my mind, I was kind of laughing at him because once they rip you off, it's done. It's over. There ain't nothing you can do about it. All they would do now is just piss off the biker guy. And she wasn't going to do nothing because she makes a ton of money off of him. I knew this, and I don't know what they were just really pissed because they wrote $400. A couple weeks later, I was literally one day away from moving out of my house. I was at the scrapyard and ran into that biker dude again. And he was in his truck, and I biked over to him and I said, "Hey, you got any shit?" And he got all pissy with me, like he was going to intimidate me, that he was mad or something. And I explained to him what happened. I said, "Hey, I don't know what the hell happened. It wasn't my money. I could care less." And he bought it. Then he says, "Well, I don't have any meth, you know." And I said, "Well, I got some really nice night vision goggles, and I got $150." He said, "All right, meet me at my house in a half hour." And I did the same drill. I parked a few blocks away and biked in. This time he wasn't surprised. When I pulled in, he says, "Hey, I got a nice bike. You want to see it?" I said, "Sure." We went into his shed, and there was like $1,000 Gary Fisher mountain bike, a really nice one. He said, "There's something wrong with it. Can you tell me what?" And I looked at it. I did a little inspection. I was a bicycle expert. I've been fixing bikes for over 20 years, and I noticed on the rear cog of the gears there was a tooth missing. I said, "There's a tooth missing." And he said, "Oh yeah, yep, that's you found it." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I can fix that in 10 minutes." I said, "I can either take this rear wheel off right now and bring it home and fix it and bring it back, or I can just take the whole bike to my house and you can come and get it tomorrow." And he goes, "Oh, you'll just take all the good parts off of it." I'm trying to be a hard ass. And I said, "Hey, I'll take a pencil and paper and I'll write down all the expensive parts," which I did. And I gave him a list, and he said, "Okay, load it up." I left. I got my car. I brought the car back and picked up his bike. And what I did next is I headed straight to the pawn shop, and I got $300 for it. He didn't know I was moving the next morning. When he showed up at my house, poof, I was gone. And it took him a while to find out where I moved. And when he did, he sent his girlfriend to come get the money. I told her, I said, "Tell your boyfriend he's not getting shit. He ripped us off 2 weeks ago. That bike is gone." And she just walked away. And that was that. He wasn't so tough after all. And here's the thing, his girlfriend, cute little blonde, 2 weeks later, it's all over the paper, all over the news. They'd gotten into a domestic squabble of some kind. And he took a MAP gas bottle torch, the kind you use by hand, and hit her in the forehead with it as hard as he could. She gets knocked out. And when she woke up, she was dazed, and he tried to tell her she fell down some stairs, but she saw the torch still lying there, and it jogged her memory. She remembered he hit her. She went to the cops. He was a felon. They hauled him off. He did 3 years in prison. I didn't lose a wink of sleep over that stupid fucking biker dude, and I knew he was all talk, and that's mostly the way they all are. But by then, I was already packing up the last of my stuff and getting ready to disappear from that place for good. The foreclosure was final. The bike shop was about to be history. My garage was emptying out, one scrap load at a time, and the only thing heavier than the metal was the weight of knowing it was all ending. Those two guys who had been helping me, still crashing in the garage, they could feel it too. We had worked like machines for weeks, hauling, sorting, stripping parts, cashing in scrap, burning through lighters, cigarettes, and bad ideas. It was that kind of limbo you only experience when you're half in the life and half out. And Jesse, never really seen him again. The biker dude, he faded off like most of them did. I didn't chase him down, didn't try to square things. That was just the code. If you were smart, you got one pass. If you were stupid, you got cut off. I didn't have to raise my voice or my fists. I just vanished with his bike, with his trust, and quiet revenge always echoed louder in that world. What people never understood was this: the game wasn't just drugs; it was memory, loyalty, and leverage. It was a chessboard with loaded pawns, and if you weren't 5 moves ahead, you were either broke, beat, or behind bars. I didn't get high off the math. I got high off the precision. Every decision, every move had to be calculated. He thought he played me. He didn't realize he walked into a story that was already written. By the time I pulled out of that house, my old house, for the last time, I didn't even look back. Everything that was worth keeping was either in the car or inside my head. Everything else, burnt, pawned, or sold, and I was still standing. Thank you for listening to this chapter, and we will see you next time. And leave a like and subscribe, and I will keep on telling my story. We have 43 more chapters to go. Thank you.